from 2 Samuel chapter 6, verse number 11 through 15. We'll take a moment and thank Pastor for giving me another opportunity. I want to thank Pastor for giving me another opportunity to be here. I'm reading from 2 Samuel chapter 6, verse number 11 through verses number 15. And the ark of the Lord continued in the house of Obed-Edom, the Gittite, 3 months. And the Lord blessed Obed-Edom and all his household. And it was told King David, saying, The Lord hath blessed the house of Obed-Edom, and all that pertaineth unto him, because of the ark of God. So David went and brought up the ark of God from the house of Obed-Edom into the city of David with gladness. And it was so that when they bare the ark of the Lord had gone 6 paces, he sacrificed oxen and fatlings. And David danced before the Lord with all his might. And David was girded with a linen ephod. So David and all the house of Israel brought up the ark of the Lord with shouting and with the sound of the trumpet. Then I'm going to skip down to verse number 20. And David returned to bless his household. And Michal, the daughter of Saul, came out to meet David and said, How glorious was the king of Israel today, who uncovered himself today in the eyes of the handmaids of his servants, as one of the vain fellows shamelessly uncovereth himself. And David said unto Michal, It was before the Lord, which chased me before thy father, and before all his house, to appoint me ruler over the people of the Lord, over Israel. Therefore will I play before the Lord, and I will yet become more vile than thus, and will be base in my own sight, and of the maidservants which thou hast spoken of them shall I be had in honor. You may be seated. The year was 1999. The day was August 7th. And a beautiful woman put on an all-white gown. She walked up the aisle. She looked over at this moron of a guy. And she said, I do. And baby, it's been 15 years. But I thank God for every moment. David was dancing here because he was excited about the blessings of God. He watched Obed-Edom get blessed. And he knew that if Obed-Edom got blessed because the ark of God was with him, then he would get blessed as well. This is like being excited because our brothers and our sisters have been blessed. Because the truth is, what's the point in being blessed if we're not around people that are also blessed? I tell you, I would rather not be blessed than have my brothers blessed than be blessed alone. David also was excited because he wasn't worthy of this. He had no lineage here. He was not the son of the king. Jonathan should have been king, but they came and anointed David instead. Now he was grateful for this, and he was thankful that God would give him this, even though he did nothing himself to earn that. Because we can't earn God's goodness. Also, David was not naked here. David was wearing the priest ephod. He may not have been wearing his king's clothing. And he may not have been acting distinguished, which is why Michael said that he was uncovered. But the truth is, we ask questions about this. We say, I don't understand how that could be how could that be important? But if you ask the old people, if you'll forgive me for a moment, they'll tell you the way you tell a distinguished man in church is his jacket. They'll tell you that you got to wear a jacket for no other reason but because to distinguish yourself. But when a guy gets to a point where he gets to worshiping and the jacket comes off, it's not me and my distinguishedness. It's not me and my title. It's just me and my Jesus. Oh, hallelujah, hallelujah. Now you may be seated. Truth is, we try not to walk around barefoot because we don't know what we're going to step on or what kind of disease we could pick up. Now, when a woman gets to worshiping, we say she's shouted her shoes off. This is important because when them shoes go flying, they're not worried about what they're walking on. They're not worried about what they could catch. It's just a moment with Jesus. Sometimes we got to get to a point where it's just me and Jesus. I'm alone with God in a room full of 400 people. We got to let it go and let God. Oh, hallelujah, hallelujah. We got to just do a little undistinguished worship. Now, in verse number 22 here, David said to Michal, "And I will be yet more vile than thus, and will be base in mine own sight." To me, that's David looking at his wife and saying, "Woman, hold my mule. I'm going to shout right here." Now I know there was no mule there, and there may not have been any animal there. But the truth is, I'm probably referring to another story. A man named Shouting John. He was an apostolic in a country town with no church. But when they brought one church in, it was one of them distinguished churches where they couldn't go and worship. But he was an apostolic. He only knew how to worship. He would get to jumping. They would get to holding him down. He would get to moving his hands. They would get to holding him down. These distinguished people got frustrated with him. Drove on out onto his field. Came up to him and said, "Look, you can't shout here no more. You're scaring off our distinguished folks." He said, "You know what? I'm a 72-year-old man. I've been towing, I've been tilling all these fields. You see all that land you just drove up on? That's my land." He said, "But I'm a 72-year-old man still doing it myself. I've got a wife. I've got kids and grandkids. Never once been to the cemetery. Never once been, oh, hallelujah, hallelujah, to the courthouse." He said, "You know what? Y'all don't want me to worship there? Hold my mule. I'm going to shout right here." Now there comes a time in our sickness, in our issues, and in our disease, we may think it's trying to stop us from worshiping God. We got to look at that disease. We got to look at that financial issues. And we got to say, you know what? Oh, my mule. Because I'm going to shout right here. Hallelujah, hallelujah. We can't be scared. God is too good to us. We just got to let it go. It's time for some undistinguished worship. Oh, hallelujah, hallelujah. We got to look at him and say, oh, my mule. I'm going to shout right here. Oh, hallelujah. Hallelujah. Oh, hallelujah, hallelujah. No matter the trial, oh, my mule. Oh, my mule. Oh, my mule. Now you guys can go ahead and sit down for a couple minutes. I have been blessed. I have gone through one of the most difficult times in my life over the last 10 years. And I know that sounds difficult to understand, but God has kept us. I have never had any medical issues until this week. Forgive me, I'm not telling you what it is. It's kind of personal. But I have never felt pain like I have this past week. And like I said, my wife and I, we've gone through some difficult times. But you know what? I've learned. Maybe God's going to bless us because of it. Maybe he won't. But you know what? I only got one thing I know how to do. In closing, if you feel a little bit of God on you tonight, I'm going to ask that you come up here a little undistinguished. Just leave the distinguishedness at the pew. Because we got to let it go.